Guys, welcome to the live stream tonight. Was looking through the comments, and yesterday conversation kind of got started with one of the viewers, and I thought this was just a great opportunity to kind of continue what we were talking about with these off-grid power systems. They're called off-grid because you're not plugged into the grid. Yes, they do plug into shore power when you have that option. But really, off-grid is kind of what you're going for. You're wanting to, for those looking for an off-grid system, you're wanting to go somewhere, out and, Bureau of Land Management areas, and go where you're not going to be able to plug in. You want to rely on a big battery bank capacity, and then as much solar as possible. And then, to and from those locations, charging off of your alternator. So we're going to cover all those topics, but we're specifically going to cover this conversation I had with Jason. So Jason was talking about that he needed to do this to his RV in the next 2 days. So I kind of jumped on the opportunity to teach this. Jason, hopefully you are coming into this live stream this afternoon. I'll be doing this for a while. I'm essentially doing this live stream to kind of gather my thoughts and put this together during the live stream, and then what I'll do is I'll kind of neaten it up, and then we'll put it together in an article. But he says the RV he had did not come with an inverter, just a generator. So what that means is he has to crank it up, have it run in order to get power with his system. And then it looks like there's some supplemental batteries, which is probably just the coach batteries. I believe this isn't Class C, but these power systems really are the same all across the board. A battery is a battery is a battery, is a generator, but we're going to get down to very simplistic terms here, and I'll show you why. For example, there's 2 lead acid batteries that he's using. He doesn't want to be running his generator just to do simple stuff like charge phones, run the microwave a few times. That makes complete sense. And so I told him, I said, hey, Jason, thanks for your question. You can simply use a 2,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, connect your 2 lead acid batteries to it, run your microwave, charge your cell phone. And the only reason I talked about the 2,000 watt inverter is because, let's go to Renogy. I talk about Renogy a lot. I'm not sponsored by Renogy, but if Renogy is listening, I'd love to, offer something to our viewers as much as I talk about it, because I go there by default because they really understand simplicity as far as communicating with the customer. And when you click on something, for example, let's just go to inverters, for example. You go to inverters, you select the one you want. So let's do this 2,000 watt. And then when you scroll down, this menu comes up on specifications. And you can quickly see everything, all the specs. And then down here, they do quick answers to your questions. So let me see what I was wanting to show you. And they give you this chart right here. So you can find out, what size inverter you want to buy, and then how many batteries and at what capacity do you need in order for this to work properly. And it's very quick, straight to the point. I like how their website's formulated. There's other ones that are close, but to me, this one is just as straightforward as can be. I guess I'm partial to it just a little bit because it helped me when I didn't know anything when I was getting started. So let's get back to the question here. Okay, there we go. So there's that inverter. So for example, this inverter is, how much is this? $279. It's a pure sine wave inverter. It has 3 household plugs, okay? couldn't get any budget-friendly or more simple than that. So we're going to start for that, and we're going to kind of work our way into this power system. So for example, I told him about the 2,000 watt inverter, and then gave him the link. And the link I gave him is on the DIY van build cheat sheet that I've put together. And this cheat sheet is essentially an Excel sheet of all the items that I've purchased personally through Amazon over the last 3 years. The link to Amazon is right here. This links to Amazon. It helps support the channel. So we really appreciate you guys using this, but really this is really out there to help you. I use this just for myself in the shop because if I need to reference something that I've already bought, it's already on this list that I made. So this list is completely free for you guys. All you have to do is just go to the link in the description, click on it, put your name and email address. It's going to come straight to your inbox. It's completely free, and it's essentially an Excel sheet organized of all the items that I buy through Amazon to build vans professionally. It even includes what I think is the most important, which is tools. So you're going to need tools to crimp MC4 connectors for solar panels. You're going to need tools for crimping wires, for heat shrink, for hydraulic crimping of 2-aught, 4-aught battery terminal lugs. And if I could go back in time, I would just buy everything on this list. And that's because I've used all of it. I use the RivNut tool to put in the Adventure Wagon kit. Anyway, you kind of see the point. It's nice, easy, organized. There's over 250 items in here, and it's there to help you out. All you have to do is go to VanBuild. You can go to vanbuilderhq.com, or you can click on the link in the description, put your name and email address. It'll be sent directly to your inbox. It's completely free. So I gave this, so whenever you see these Amazon links that I paste in here, that's why they look the way they do. Down here we have Jason's question or reply that he sent today. And so this one, he says, thanks for the shout out. We actually have a Class C and has a fuel-on distro box on board. Says it's a bargain model, so there's no fancy transfer switch or inverter. So I'm guessing when he plugs it, he turns it on, the generator starts, and then it provides power. Pretty standard. He said the shore power plug basically plugs into the generator, 30 amp outlet. Okay, gotcha. So this is the topic of today's live stream. This is the answer that I'll be addressing. So he says, I want to build something really fancy, bit by bit, solar, lithium batteries that works, but baby steps are in order because our budget isn't there. Looking forward to seeing your DIY methods and try to translate them into renovations for the Class C. So we're looking for budget. And sometimes when you hear budget, you think, cheaply made products. But it doesn't have to be cheaply made products. With technology, the industry, distribution, all that stuff, when you put it all together, it's 2023. Over time, things that were very expensive get cheaper as they go along. You kind of have the economies of scale playing into that. So when you have all that together, going towards budget is not really getting bad things. And especially if you get them from a company that has a support backing you, you're pretty much in good hands. And to be really honest with you guys, at the end of the day, it's $280. And if something happened to this, if you accidentally ran it over, you could get another one. Not hating on Victron, but if you bought a $3,000 inverter and something happened, then I can see where you could get worried. But what I like about Renogy stuff is you can buy it, you can try it, you can see if it's something that you want to get into, and it's really not going to break the bank. So let's see what Peter's got real quick. Do you recommend 2,000 or 3,000 watts? I'm planning on using it to charge my computer and other small stuff. I was thinking about 3,000 watts in case I need to add something that requires more power later. So yes, if you can go to the 3,000 watts, I always by default say to go there, because it's not about running one individual device at a time. It's the moments where you want to, run a hot water heater and make some popcorn in the microwave. Those are the times where the convenience of the higher wattage is going to get you more of a livability perk. So always go for the higher bit. It's not too aggressive with the battery bank size. So again, if we hop on over to Renogy, if you go here, they have a little chart. So remember, I mentioned this chart. So for example, if you have a 700 watt inverter, one 100 amp hour battery would suffice. 1,000 watt, you have one. 2,000 watt, you need two. 3,000 watt, you need three. So it's kind of the rule of thumb. So you need a minimum of 3,000 or 300 amp hours to serve a 3,000 watt inverter. And the detail behind that, and we're going to keep the details and technical talk very brief, because this is meant to be a simple kind of just get into this whole solar power system stuff. But the more watts you increase, the more current you're demanding from the battery. So, will a 3,000 watt inverter run on two 200 amp hour batteries? It's possible. It might work, but the problem you're going to run into is depending on your load, it may trip out the inverter, and it may cause complications. So if you just stick with the kind of 2,000 watt inverter, two 100 amp hour batteries, 3,000 watt inverter, three 100 amp hour batteries. If you stick to that, you're going to be fine. You're not going to have any of those little quirks down the road. Because some of the stuff, if you've never done it before, it can be intimidating. You're thinking of power. You're converting 12 volt power to household power. So, you want to make sure you're doing it safely. But quick answer, Peter, 3,000 watts. If you have the battery bank size to do it, that's what I would do. What kicks you kicking right now? I don't know. All right, so let's get into what components we're going to be talking about in this stream. So I'm going to go over to the drawing pad, and this is what we talked about yesterday, or the last live stream. We just talked about kind of how shore power plugs into the inverter, how the charger part of the inverter / charger works as far as charging the batteries, how the battery runs the inverter, and then how the inverter provides AC power to your van. So what I want to go through today is break this down into simple solar first. So we're going to start with solar power. So how we're getting the solar power into the van. We need a charge controller. We need a charge controller so that it can convert the high voltage into a usable voltage to charge the batteries. Then we need the batteries themselves. Okay. So again, keeping things very simple. So solar power. How do you get power from the sun? All right, got the sun. So you need a solar panel. So this is our solar panel. Okay, so we have our solar panel. That's the first thing. And then the solar panel is going to have two wires come out of it. We've got our negative wire, and then we have our positive wire. Okay, and these little arrows are going to show us which way the power, the electricity, or I'm just going to say power, is flowing. So we're flowing in this direction. And so we're going to do a very simple system. And we're just going to copy the one in my original van that I have, which is van I did a couple years ago. It's my low roof 150, Transit 150. And we're going to do 200 watts of solar. And then next what we do is we have that coming into, okay, we're going to add the fuses later, but now we're just showing you the concept of how power is coming into the van. And so let's get our sun. There we go. Okay, so that's our sun. Okay, so the next thing we have is a charge controller. So this charge controller is essentially a box, and what it does is it takes the higher voltage that's coming out of the solar panel. So if we go to Renogy, and let's look at solar panels. So if we click on a solar panel, and we go to specifications, you can see that we have this open circuit voltage, this number right here. So let's just put this number right here. And this is just for example purposes. We're not going to do any math. We're just going to do very basic components and then show how to size it later. But this is just an example. So this number can change, but essentially I'm just showing you guys that this box is changing this first number here, and it's spitting out a new number. So let's say 14.6 volts. Okay, so we're taking in, so we're going to take these wires and we're going to come into the box. All right, so this is our flow of power. If you guys have a question, you want to stop me, feel free to stop, ask me a question. But basically, we're taking the solar panel, we're taking the higher voltage, and we're moving it, or we're changing it to a voltage and a charge profile that the battery that we're charging can work with. So this comes into the box, and then what happens is we come out of the box. So let's come down here. So we come out of the box, and what's important here is that we select a charge profile. So we got to go into the box, read the owner's manual, and we have to change that to a charge profile. Okay. So what do you think that's going to be? Well, it's going to be lithium. Now, you could have a lead acid battery. You could have an AGM. So you could have each one. You could have one of each. All right. So depending on what battery you have, you'll set. There'll be a little, little button or light here, and you'll cycle through the system. So, for example, this right here. This is. Oh, sorry, guys, I was not on the drawing. It's okay, well, I'll come back to it. So this right here is a charge controller, and if you look, it's hard to see, but there's a little button right there. See that? So when I click that button, there's a light on the battery. So when this is powered up, this light will blink or flash according to the manual. And if you see here on the side, we have our charge profiles. So you see that? So for example, blue is our lithium, I can't talk, lithium iron phosphate, and we got 14.4 volts. All right. So since it's 14.4, I'm gonna go here and erase this. And we're going to change it to 14.4. All right. So we have 14.4. So now that we've selected lithium, we're not going to be using. You can use lead acid and you can use AGM. Okay, but for right now, we're not going to use this one, and we're not going to use AGM. So the next step is to follow our batteries over, and again, I will show you where fuses go in a minute. But we're going to follow this over to our batteries. Okay, then over here we have our battery. Okay, and we're going to have two 100 amp hour batteries. And then this is where our negative connects. And then we got our positive. Okay. So this is what we got. We got the sun coming in. The solar panel absorbs the power. It goes into our charge controller. So the charge controller can be two things. It can either be a PWM or an MPPT. And so what this box does, we're changing the voltage to a charge voltage and profile that we've selected, which is we've selected lithium. And that lithium is what our batteries are over here. So those are both lithium batteries. So now we've got the whole thing. So this thing can charge up the batteries. So guess what? What's next? We want to be able to use the power. So we're going to pop in one. We're going to move this battery thing over here. These are batteries. Okay, and then we're going to so we need some type of distribution panel. And the distribution panel is going to be what the devices in our system connect to. So typically, this distribution panel has fuses in it. Okay, so these are our fuses. If I can do this a better way. So these are our fuses. So what I'm using for my distribution panel is this behind me. Nope, not that. Is the Links distributor. So what the Links distributor is doing is it's taking the batteries. The batteries are coming into the positive and negative. And we're gonna open this up. Okay, we're going to take this off. Let's see. Let me bring this down. Go a little bit more in. Trying to zoom in as much as I can. Okay, so right here we have these little covers. So they're just for, shipping and stuff like that. Or if you're not going to use these terminals. But what we're going to have here is we're going to have the positive battery cable come in, and then we're going to have the negative battery cable come in here. Okay, so I'll put those caps back on. So the power coming in to the batteries. So we're right here, right now. Okay, so this is what we're talking about, right there. So the power coming in gets here. So now obviously we're not connecting negative to positive to negative because that would be bad. You would instantly regret that. So what we're doing is on top here is positive, and then there's these little doors. You guys can see that. Down here at the bottom. I'm going to take them. Let me take these off temporarily. So these little doors are so that the positive and then the negative cable don't meet. But they snap on and off. And I don't have nothing's connected here. So this is our positive bus bar, and this is our negative bus bar right here. And again, if any of this is foreign to you guys, don't worry, we'll go over it. So the power comes in, comes across the bars. The top ones, this is just positive, and then down here, this is separate. So we have only one negative. So we don't fuse the negative, all right? The negatives all come here, but they're not fused. We only fuse the positive coming in. So the power coming in. So now we have positive coming in. Wishing I had a fuse. I think I got one. Let me grab a fuse so you guys can see. So depending on what you need, this is a mega fuse. You see right here. It's brand new. I'm even taking it out of the bag. Okay, so let's see, where's my... So after I show you what the distribution does, we'll show you how it gets to the next step, which is going to be, we're going to talk about the inverter. We're going to show you how to connect it to an inverter so you can use it. So we take our mega fuse. And if you do have this already in a power system, you want to find your battery disconnect and you want to turn it off. You also, if you have solar already, turn your solar off. So there's no power coming into this. And even when you're working with this, you want to be very careful that you don't short the system. Now, this is not a budget item. I'm going to show you what just a bus bar with a fuse. But this one is a good way to explain how multiple things can all be in one place. All right, so you take your mega fuse. This is what needs to be sized for your inverter, sized for your 12-volt rooftop AC if you're using that, sized for water pump, if you have a 12-volt water heater, stuff like that. That's what this is protecting. So all we do is just slide it on, just like that. And now we can take our terminal and this next thing I'm going to show you, this is really overdoing it, but this is again just for visual purposes. You wouldn't really use a lug this big. So like for example, if this was going, well you would if this was your inverter. So for example, you'd have your inverter fuse rating here, and then this cable sized appropriately would plug into your inverter. And so that's how your inverter is going to get its positive side. The negative side would come from this bottom panel. And so what you would do is you would take another piece, and notice how I have two pieces of metal very close to each other. So, all right, Jamie, thank you for that. That's nice. So this plastic cover, as you can see, it goes underneath here, and then that protects this positive. Now you would want to heat shrink that, but we will talk. All this will be covered in future videos. Today we're just showing you how power is getting to these components. So if you wanted to go back, rewind, and follow this video, we're showing you step by step how the power comes through the system. So your positive, and then your negative terminal would be under here. And then your next step would be to take your negative wire and then run it to your inverter. So this, I like this links distributor because all this stuff is already ready to go. Okay, next step is showing how do we make a budget Victron links distributor. So how would we turn that into a budget process? Okay, so I'm taking this right here, right, and I'm going to make a budget one on the next screen. Okay, so the next screen, we're going to do the same thing. So this is called distribution panel, all right? So we're going to do budget, distribution panel, okay? So it's very simple. We're working with a negative, and we're working with a positive, okay? And this is coming from our batteries. So the first thing we want to do is we need to find something that can do what we need to do. So we are going to do, we're now going to go into Jason's question. So he wants a budget way to do solar lithium batteries, and he wants it to be able to charge his microwave and cell phone. All right? I forgot, sorry. Here we go. All right, we're going to do what I just said. So let's go to the drawing board. So our inside over here, let me tilt this down so you guys can see. Okay, so over here, we want to run a microwave. And we're just going to say, we're going to do a 900 watt to 1200 watt microwave. I'll explain why in a second. So we want to run a microwave. We want to charge a cell phone. And let's just add in a laptop over here. Okay, so here's our goals. our goals is we want to run those devices. Okay, how do we run those devices? So let's look at them. Well, a cell phone, okay, a microwave. How much power do we need for a microwave? Well, we definitely need an inverter for a microwave because a microwave is going to be a 110 volt item. So the first thing we want to do is find out what this needs. So this needs 110 volts to operate, okay? The cell phone. Cell phone's going to need 12 volts. The laptop is going to need, now this one sounds scary, but we're going to talk about it. So it may need, 60 to 85 watts. So notice how we got 12 volts, but now we're going to have these new numbers coming into the world, or our world here, which are watts and volts. And so those all make sense here in just a second. Okay. So we want to get from over here to from the left side to the right side. So after we have this core system set up, we've got the sun powering the solar panel. It's coming in, it's getting converted down to a voltage that makes the batteries happy. The batteries are happy, they're getting charged, and now they have power to supply our distribution panel. Power goes through the fuses. So in the power, now we're right here. We're coming out of the distribution panel. So as we come out of the distribution panel, we need to get an inverter. Okay? Okay, it can be an inverter. It can be an inverter / charger. Or it can be one of those, doesn't matter. What matters the most is it needs to be pure sine wave. Not modified. Okay? Modified sine wave is bad. We do not want a modified sine wave. So a pure sine wave you guys can Google this on your own, but I'm going to use this little image as an example. The difference. So you can Google the difference. So the pure sine wave is going to have a smooth frequency. The modified sine wave is going to have a jagged one. So your guys' homework is to Google the differences between a pure sine wave and a modified sine wave. Pure sine is better for your electronics. It's a cleaner form of power, and it won't degrade your components. Now you can buy a cheap inverter from Advanced Auto Parts, Harbor Freight, or whatever. Now Harbor Freight does sell pure sine wave inverters. I'm not saying they're bad, but they do sell a modified sine wave inverter that is extremely cheap. Might be like $50 or something. It may power your devices. However, over time, that unclean power can damage your device because the device is not meant to run off of dirty power. So I'll leave that for you guys for homework, but just make sure you get a pure sine wave inverter. just do it. There really isn't a huge cost difference anymore. So just do it. That is my advice. Okay. So what we have here is, let's just put a big old box around this. And let's just say this is our inverter. So this big old thing here, this is our inverter. Okay. So we've got our inverter. I'll do this. The whole point is not to make it complicated, I understand. Okay, here's our inverter. We've got a negative and we've got a positive terminal. All right, so let's go ahead and let's connect our positive connect our negative. All right, so this is our inverter. This is our 2000 watt. All right, so we got our inverter. So our inverter is going to have an output. Okay, and this little output back here is going to be where we take our our 14.3 wire. So let's go to the internet. What is a 14.3 wire? So I'm going to go with what you guys know most. Okay? If you guys have ever been to Home Depot, you guys understand what Romex is. All right? Romex is the wire that is inside your house. It is a solid wire. So it's not stranded. So this is what stranded looks like, which is by default what you want in your van or RV. You do not want the solid wire. Because what happens is this is not can't withstand high vibrations, and if you've ever bent this back and forth, it'll break in half and it'll disconnect. So if you have an area of your van that's vibrating or RV that's vibrating, this is why this is not what you want to use. You want to go with a marine standard 14.3 wire, and very important, okay? In the age of Amazon and stuff on the internet, you can go and get XYZ ABC marine wire. Be careful when you're going on Amazon. I don't have, well, I actually need to go check my links, but the wire links on Amazon, they just have like marine printed on them, but they don't have that company is not certified and it's not listed. So you want to find and ensure that it's a UL listed wire. So it stands for Underwriters Laboratories. They certify like electrical component conductors, stuff like that. But you want to do a UL listed wire. And if you notice, all we can find is we can't find marine, so we need to type in marine. And then what you'll find is if you don't want to get it from, there is a link on Amazon, but it takes like a month to get this, so it's very hard. But what you want to do is this Anchor Marine. It's called triplex wire. Okay, this is what you want for your AC, your 110 volt circuits in your van. This wire, if we go down here, we have these standards. So we have UL, it's UL listed, Where is it? You want to make sure that, so this one is exceeding the UL ABYC standards. That's very good. If I actually go to a picture, I'm going to show you a picture of the anchor wire. Hold on. Because it'll actually say that it's UL listed on the wire. Okay, I'm digressing. Let me get back to this. My point is, you want high quality marine grade wire for your 110 volt. That's what I want to say. All right. So you're going to take that 14, get a different color here. You're going to take that so you're going to have a hot, that's not it. You're going to have an output, and it's going to be a line. Let's see. A neutral and a ground. All right, just like you have in a house. So this is what's going to be on the output side of the inverter. And this is what you're going to wire into your outlet. Okay, so that is how power is getting from your distribution panel into the inverter, goes into your outlet. I will talk about fuses in a second. We're just getting the basics down here. So some inverters have a little box here on the back side, and they actually, some, very rare, but they come sometimes with a USB port right here. And so technically, this USB port is 12 volts. So remember, this is 110. Okay, and then this is 12. So don't get them confused. They're different. And then that 12 volt can run your so that can go to like your cell phone, but it cannot do your laptop. Okay, it's not going to work. So how do I do that? So it's not going to do your laptop. It's okay for your cell phone. It won't do your laptop. Why will it not do your laptop? Well, because it has to do with your the watts over here. Your laptop needs more juice. So if you wanted to run the laptop, which is the last part of this question, you're going to need to come back over here to your distribution panel, and you're going to need to pull off, let's see here. You need to pull off some positive, and you need to pull off your negative. and you need to wire this into a higher wattage USB outlet. And we did this in Thomas's van because he wanted to charge his laptop. So this is essentially a separate circuit. And what you're going to do is go over here. We'll go on Amazon and we'll do a 60 watt USB outlet. So right here. So this is the exact one we use on Thomas's van. And you see it says 65 watt. So what that is it's giving you enough, it's giving you the ability to fast charge, but then also put through enough juice to actually get the laptop to be charged. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to put it right down here. So we're just going to take this, we're going to wire it right down here. And so now this plug right here So there's a type A port, and you can even get like a USB-C. So let's just say like this is USB-C. And then that will charge your laptop. So that's how you can charge your laptop. All right, last portion of this video, we're going to talk about fuses, and then we'll end it with some Q&A, and that will be the stream. So go back over here, and let's see what color we want to use. Maybe make a new color. Okay, so maybe use this burnt orange. Okay, so right here, the burnt orange is our fuses. So we got fuses here. We've got a fuse inline right here for our solar. So the fuse is in between the solar panel, the charge controller, and then the fuse, we're going to have one right here for the batteries. Then these are fuses. So let's change this. We get our colors all right. So fuse, 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 and then come over here to our distribution box. We're going to have a fuse here going into our inverter. We're going to fuse this right here for our USB outlet. we're going to make sure that we fuse our cell phone. And then this, we'll do this in red. Actually, we'll do this in purple. So this line, neutral, and ground, we need a breaker panel. And it's probably going to be like a 15 amp panel. All right, so I know that was a ton of information. It's challenging to keep it simple, but really this is the simplest way that you can connect all of these devices. So we'll end by showing you guys where to find these devices. But I'm just going to quickly go over this really quick. So we have our sun comes in, power goes into the panel, gets changed to make the batteries happy, batteries charge. They come over, come to the fuse distribution panel, 12 volt. Okay, this is 12 volt. Then they move over. Let me do 12 volt in blue so we can kind of keep somewhat of organization. Okay, so that's 12 volt coming out of the distribution panel. So that 12 volt distribution panel right here, 12 volts again, is coming down and into our inverter. So it comes in as 12 volts. It comes out as 110 volts. That 110 is going to power a microwave. There's ranges of microwaves. So you have like the RV ones, they're like 900 watts, so lower power. Then you have the higher watt microwaves. So we selected a 2,000 watt inverter. So just think of what you're running to size your inverter. So Peter was talking about, should I get a 2,000 or a 3,000 watt inverter? You should go higher so that you can actually run the microwave and do something else. You're not bottlenecked by your inverter. What is that something else? Well, some inverters have a USB port where you could plug in a USB to power your cell phone. But if you wanted to do your laptop, you wouldn't be able to do that. You're going to have to come over here to the distribution panel and come down, make a new fuse circuit, and have a dedicated USB outlet that's a high wattage outlet. So, for example, this Renogy one, this one off of Amazon. So this one's going to allow you to use more power, like a USB 65 watt port. And that way you'll actually be able to charge your laptop. Okay, what products can we find to check this off our list? So most of these are on the VanBuild, the DIY VanBuild cheat sheet. So if you guys are interested in that, link is in the description below. It is a curated list of over 250 items. They're all in an Excel sheet. They're easy to organize, find. For example, you just hit Control F and let's type in inverter. All right. Right here, we've got the Renogy 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. Hover over this link and it's going to take you to the Amazon page to buy that inverter. So that inverter is the same one that we've been looking at here on Renogy's site. So right there, that inverter. But what we're looking at, we're starting over here. So we want to look at solar panels. Solar panel is the first step. So you can go on here and you can buy kits. So if we click on kits, instead of buying the solar panel separately, the charge controller, and some other accessories, you can buy the kit. So let's look at something that I've been using on my van, and it has worked for 3 years. Let's just look at that. So we've gone on Renogy's site, and we've clicked on solar kits, and we've popped up to good question. You can. I like buying it on Amazon because it's just easier. It's more convenient for me to just have a link that I go to, buy stuff again, and stay like my shopping cart history, which is actually how the Vanbuild cheat sheet got made. This right here. So this is basically just my shopping history. So it's easier. I like Amazon because Amazon is going to tell me when it's going to be at my doorstep. If you buy it off of Renogy's website, sometimes they do sales that are different than Amazon, and I'll get it. But I like how Amazon says it's in stock. It'll be delivered this day. But if you guys are buying Renogy products, I would really appreciate it if you went through the Vanbuild cheat sheet link to purchase those, because that's a great way of supporting the channel. But yeah, I've got a list of stuff I need to update, and I usually don't put kits on here because I don't buy the kits, but I may put this kit on there. But straight off, check this out. Here is our 200 watt solar starter kit. Over here we get a 200 watt solar panel, charge controller, and cables. Go over here in Renogy. Solar panel, charge controller, cables. All right. So this kit is $250. So I'm gonna start writing this down because this might be a cool way for you guys to really do a nice budget build. So our solar panel, cables, and controller, $250. All right, check it off the box. Next, let's go into our distribution panel. So the distribution panel, a couple of ways that we can do this. If you have the budget for it, the Victron Link's distributor, they make two versions. The one that's $220, it has some fancy lights that show you when a fuse is blown. You can save some money, and you can buy the Link's Power In. The Link's Power In doesn't have the fancy lights. There's the holes for them, but they don't light up. You really don't need it. $150, all right? So $150 for the distributor. Now you could do an individual fuse for each one of these, DIY, but I'm going to show you some caution here. So you would look for like subwoofer amp fuse. It's about the easiest way to look for it. And these pop up. So see, they're significantly cheaper. Okay, here is the caveat on this. If you see the ones that look like this, I'm not saying this specific company, but this style with the plastic cover, see, the plastic cover and this style of fuse, I have not had good experience with this style of fuse. Somehow, whatever plating they're using is probably really cheap. I mean, it's $13 for 3, and I had one get so hot, and I just personally don't trust them. So I know a lot of people use them, but yeah, that's why I'm saying if you can move up and get, $150 for this, you're getting solid components, you're getting 2 nice bus bars, you're getting the protection from stuff, shorting across with those little plastic tabs. It's easy to work on. It mounts really securely. I have it right here. You know, I just think it's if you can do it, I would do it. All right, moving along. So we got our distribution panel. Now we have our batteries. So batteries, go in here. Deep cycle batteries. For example, so Jason, if you're listening, he has lead acid batteries, which is that's okay. You are not going to get the charge cycles that is a benefit of the lithium chemistry, but it's cheaper. If you need to go in the budget end, something like this deep cycle AGM battery might be something to go with. Just understand if it says AGM or lead acid, you need to divide this number in half. Because an AGM battery, you can only utilize 50% of the capacity. So if it's a 200 amp hour battery, it's really a 100 amp hour battery, usage wise. If you go below that depth of discharge, lower than 50%, you degrade the battery. They have these hybrid ones. It's like a gel AGM. Like right now, like that's pretty cool. They're the same price. So the gel is a little bit better technology, if you could say it like that. These batteries are extremely heavy. That's how you're getting this really low price. For example, if we go to specifications, each battery weighs 128 pounds. So let's think about this for a second. So 260 pounds worth of batteries. All right, if you get two of them, is the equivalent to $50 pounds of lithium. So you see the difference. But if you're on a budget, I would not, you know, if you're on a budget and you have like a Class C, you probably can fit two of these in there. So that is, so it's like $379 for 100 amp hours. Let's see if we can do a little bit better. So they do have this right here. That's these batteries are pretty much on sale. You could do one SOK battery. So let's look at SOK. This is another option. I've used these batteries before. I like them. So we can go to SOK. They have, so let's go to products. And they have a 200 amp hour battery right here for $979. So 206 amp hours. It's lithium. It's a sealed battery. Just this one battery, I think this would be a good way to go. So let's just say, that's $1,000. The battery is really where you're going to be spending your money. But this is a very simple system. So we're taking, we've got one 200 amp hour battery. We went over to Renogy. We picked up our solar panel starter kit. We've got our distribution thing, Link's distributor. That's 150. We got our solar. We got our battery. So the last thing we're missing is the inverter. So we'll go here. We'll go to our 2,000 watt pure sine wave inverter. And since we're doing 200 watts of solar, 200 amp hours, We're going to go with a 2,000 watt inverter, pure sine wave, and it already has the 3 plugs on here. And let's just say that's so we'll round up to $300. That way, you know, tax, all that good stuff will be kind of made into that. But that's for the inverter. Okay, so I made this little budget for you guys. So $250 for the solar panels and the charge controller, $150 for distribution, and $1,000 for battery, and $300 for inverter. So let's just add all that up. So we got 3, 4, 5, 50, 6, 7. So $1,700. So let's go on our drawing thing and let's put our final slide, which will be what our budget is. So we've got our solar panel kit with charge controller. Okay, that is $250. We've got our distribution. So, which is nice. It's a, you know, a piece of Victron gear for budget is pretty good. So that's $150. We're going to have our battery, which is 206 amp hours. And that is from SOK. So that battery is 1,000. Then we got our inverter. Pure sine. And that is 300. Okay. So that gives us 1,700 for the system. I don't. That's not bad at all. There's a couple other things that you'll need. So if you budgeted $2,000, then I think you'd be doing really well. So so if we come over here and if we add $300 worth of stuff, let's say, what else would you need to get this to like a $2,000 kit? So we need to add $300 worth of stuff. So what would I recommend that's missing from this kit? So what's missing from this kit is you're going to need, let's see here. You're going to need, this is our little shopping list. You're going to need fuses. You're going to need, let's see what we need here. Fuses, cable, fuses, and you're going to get like 14 3-wire. USB outlet. So that wasn't factored in there. And let's see what else. So let's look at one last piece of item, and that is going to be our charge controller. Not solar. We want to look for our DC to DC. And so our DC to DC is what is going to allow us to charge from the alternator of our vehicle. So let's see here. So it's under battery chargers. And so you could add on a 12-volt DC to DC charger. And we're going to call this one the alternator. So that's coming from your alternator engine. And so that would be a good place to start and get you, kind of start to get you in the $2,000 kit range. It would be everything you need. You know, you have your solar panel kit, you've got your distribution, got your solar panel kit, distribution block with the fuses. You get your battery. You got your inverter. You get your fuses, your 14 3-wire. That's for your plug. USB outlet, and then this would be a bonus if you could get this. So that would be a bonus. And I think that'd be, $2,000. Now, the nice thing is you can chip away and you can take away from this. You don't have to use all of this stuff. But those are items that I would recommend. This is how everything kind of flows. And this is how it begins for just the simple solar setup. So like I said, it's not technically that simple, but these are the basic components that if you put them together, they will charge your system via the sun. You will also be able to use that power, invert that power to run household appliances. And then if you have if you can stretch your budget from $1,700 to $2,000, you can drop in some other components to make the USB work, and also add a small DC to DC charger so that you can top the batteries off while you're driving down the road. So you can have that and the solar combined. So I hope that gave you guys some value as far as solar power systems, how they work. As usual, check out the channel. We'd love for you to be a subscriber if this is your first time watching. And there's a lot of other videos talking about electrical components. And so if you have a particular question, leave that in the comments section below. I'd love to look through those and have that be an opportunity to make a new video, future video answering that question. Make sure you guys don't forget about our van build cheat sheet, the DIY van build cheat sheet. It's a free, let me X this out. Completely free, over 250 curated items over the last 3 years that I've been building vans. You can go here, it's organized. You can find stuff from electrical components like we talked about today. All you gotta do, hit Control F, type in inverter. It pops up the Renogy inverter that we talked about today. It'll take you right to the Amazon link. That always helps the channel out. But everything's in one place, it's organized. You can find other items such as tools. Tools is a really good item on here because this is what I use to install stuff on a van. So putting rivets into a van, crimping, heat shrinking, using hydraulic crimps, which you definitely need for these big chunky lugs. It's about the only way to do it. And yeah, I use every single one of these tools on here to build vans, and it's saved me time and money. This list saves me time because it's really easy to reference it. I'm vetting this stuff, so it's stuff I've actually used and bought. It saves money because, some of these items didn't work out for me. So those items, I returned, so they're not on this list. But by going through that, you find stuff that you can really use, and put away stuff that you can't. But this list, all you got to do to get it is type in your name, email address. It's going to come straight to your inbox. It's 100% free, completely free. It's just good information to help you guys out with your DIY van build. Go to vanbuilderhq.com, or you can click in the link in the description below to get you to this page. If you guys don't have any other questions, we're going to call it for the live stream tonight. And again, any question van related that you have, make sure you leave a comment below if you do have a particular question. And hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. Once again, if you're not a subscriber, we'd love to have you join the channel, learn all stuff about DIY van builds, and check out vanbuilderhq.com as well for articles on van related stuff. And we will see you guys in the next live stream.